the sun shine in today. I'm trying to make this darkness go away. I'll paint with colors and I'll sing until my lungs give out. I'm gonna let the sun shine in today. And I will leave my windows open so that I can hear the sound of people talking and the wind blowing in the trees. Oh, I will open up my eyes so I can see the light. Oh, and I'll try to spread my wings so I can fly. Oh, and the darkness starts to fade. Feels like things are gonna go my way. I'm gonna let the sun shine in the day. I'm gonna let the past be filled with smoke.
Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. In today's video, I have 3 autumnal dinners to share with you and 1 autumnal bread. The first one we are doing is this cheese and broccoli soup, and it turned out so delicious. I have made this one before here on my channel, but I am making it again because it just is so delicious. And I am going to make it in my cast iron Dutch oven, and it just again turns out so delicious and so yummy, and I'm just so excited to be sharing this with you today. But I am going to start cutting up all of the produce and all the vegetables, and then we are going to get started. And I will also link all of the recipes down below, so if you want to make these yourself, they did all come from Pinterest, so you can remake them and they will just be down below in my description box.
Set myself aside, lead the way on this trial. If you don't know the way, we can stop and make a change. I know we walk for days, losing hope, fading love. This night will be okay, waking up to another day. Set myself aside, lead the way on this trial. If you don't know the way, we can stop and make a change. I know we walk for days, losing
Now that all of the veggies are chopped up, I am going to start throwing them into my Dutch oven where I want to cook the soup. And you pretty much want them to soften, so you're going to leave them in there and just keep stirring them, but you want to leave them in there to soften up for like 10 minutes. And then once they soften up, you're going to start putting in all the liquids that you need for the soup. Now we are going to start adding all the liquids. So we want to start off with some vegetable broth, and then we're also going to do milk, heavy cream, and then also some flour to make it thicker, but that's pretty much all for the liquids. But the flour, you just add a little bit, but I added a little too much because I wanted it really thick, but just do a little bit because as it sits it will continue getting thicker. And then just season it up however you want to season it. I put some herbs in it, some garlic in it, salt and pepper, and it turned out so delicious.
Everyone, there be no wars. Maybe the birds will sing about your heart. Maybe the trees will whisper the word. Maybe the sun will
Continue to stir it up, but also let it sit and cook so all the veggies turn nice and soft and they're not still crunchy. And then you can also add cheese inside of it so that it's a nice cheesy broccoli soup. I like to add lots of cheese because it's just so yummy and cheesy, but you can add however much cheese you want to it. You don't have to do much, or you can do a lot like I did. Just do it however you would like, and do it to how you like it, like your taste. So you might want more salt or more other seasonings, or less cheese or less milk or oat milk to it. Do it however you and your family like it, but it always turns out so good, and it's a really quick and easy dinner. This one honestly took me about like 30 minutes including the prep. It was a pretty easy dinner.
There is no one who has a heart as pure, no, not like yours.
And like I said, that's it. Now it is time to serve to your family and eat it for dinner. It's really delicious, and you can have it for multiple days and it will still just be as yummy. Just heat it up in the Dutch oven again or in the microwave, and it's so yummy.
Dreaming of you. Dreaming of you. Dreaming of you.
Now I am going to start on the maple and pecan bread. This one did take 2 days to make. It is a pretty time-consuming bread, but it is homemade and from scratch, and it is so delicious. I did make 2 of these breads because I knew I'd want one hot and ready right when it came out of the oven, and then the other one to freeze so we could have it later on when we want more bread. But it did take a while, but it was so worth it. I will for sure continue making this bread because it was just so good and fluffy and moist and soft. It was so delicious.
Dreaming of you. Dreaming of you. Full stop. Can't believe I live in your thoughts. I think about you all the time, morning, evening, and midnight. Such a wonderful delight. Forgo, give up everything that I own. Yeah, I'd give it all up now just to be with you somehow. Unexpected love was found.
there was a lot of water mixed into these breads. That's not usually normal, but for this one it was. And I honestly think I am going to start adding more water to my breads because it really puffed up really good and quick, and it was soft and moist, and it was just so good. So I think I'm going to start adding more water to my breads. But there was lots of stretching and folding and rising and stretching and folding again, and then more water to it. So that is pretty much what you'll see a lot of this throughout this video for this little portion.
And it shows, if I'm honest, you're the leaves in mid-August, and I've come out here to say that I love you.
Now going to start mixing in the cinnamon powder and the pecans to the bread. You have to stretch and fold them and really mix them in with the bread, or they'll just be sitting on top. I honestly thought I did a good job, but I need to do a little bit better next time I do this because they were still not all the way in the middle. It's hard because like the pecans, they rise as the bread sits, but you're supposed to incorporate them in so that they can really just sit in the bread, but it's hard to keep them in the middle without them rising on their own. But yeah, this bread was so good and it was a lot of fun to make.
You said it was the last time, but you keep coming back to tell me sorry that you take back all the things you said just to hurt me. Our love just went cold, but I'm still burning. Our love just went cold. Why? I keep on making the same mistake. Together again, you are back once more, like everything's the same. I tried to build my walls up, but you're taking them down. It's tearing me apart, I can't pretend.
This is now the next morning after they sat in the fridge overnight, and as you can see, they were just so fluffy and so poofed and moist and just ready to go into the oven. So I did transfer them to parchment paper and then did start carving into them, making my little design, and then of course threw them into the oven to bake.
Our love just went cold. Mistake. I always let you back in when I begin to get myself together again. You are back once more, like everything's the same. I tried to build my walls up, but you're taking them down. It's tearing me apart, I can't pretend. Now I have to get over you again. Have to get over you again. Have to get over you. I keep on making the same mistake. I always let you back in when I begin to get myself together again. You
The breads did so good in the oven and they turned out so beautiful. I am now taking them out of the oven because they were in there for about 45-50 minutes, and again, they just turned out so beautiful. I'm so happy with how they turned out and how they look, and the taste was so good. But I am going to let them cool down before I cut them open because they are steaming hot. They are super hot, so they do need to cool down and settle for a bit so that they don't just like fall apart because they're so hot.
Polaroid picture of us from June 24th. It's where I kissed you for the first time. Laid on your sheets. You gave me your heart.
Now I am cutting open my bread and it just turned out so beautiful and so delicious. You are about to see what it looks like on the inside, and I'm just so happy with it. There were some pecans on the inside, but not like a lot, but there were still some, and it was so nice to bite into that bread and have like a nice good crunch to it. Just so delicious.
One more drink to swallow it down. I gotta get you out of my mind.
Now the next dinner is this butternut squash pasta and baked carrots. These baked carrots did come from my mom and I's garden. It came from just our garden outside, and they are like the rainbow carrots. They turned out so beautiful and they were so delicious. We still have more in our ground, but we did want to pull out a few just to see how they're doing and how they're growing, and they were just so yummy and so beautiful, so we're really happy about that. And then for the butternut squash pasta, I'm just making pasta like normal, and then we do have like this butternut squash pasta sauce that came from Target. Is like my favorite butternut squash pasta sauce. So this one is a really affordable and cheap dinner. All you need is just some carrots and then just that butternut squash pasta sauce and then pasta. Very affordable and really easy to make. And for the carrots, I am putting on some there's like lemon juice and garlic and olive oil all mixed into like this sauce, and I'm just drizzling it all over the carrots. There's also some thyme in it, so like some herbs, and then you just throw them in to bake. And this is one of like the Magnolia Tables volume 1 or 2 recipes. I don't really remember what book it's in, but it is in one of those books, and it's just her like carrot recipe. It's really good, but I don't really remember what it's called. But yeah, they turned out really good. If I can find it, I'll link it down below, or if you have that book or both of those books, just go through them and I bet you'll find them on your own.
So you're someone I used to know, but nobody said it'd be easy. But maybe I should know. One more drink to swallow it down.
Like I said, this was a very easy dinner to make, and it is so delicious and great for autumn time because of the butternut squash and the baked carrots. And I will for sure always be making this again because that pasta sauce is like my favorite pasta sauce. If you've never had it, it's at Target and it is so good. My Target only had one of them, and I wish that they had more because I would have bought all of them because they're just so good. But that was that dinner. Now we are moving on to the next one. So now for the very last dinner, I am making this autumn hash, and there's apples and butternut squash and then some kale in it and feta, and it's just so yummy. You could also add like pumpkin seeds. It asked for pumpkin seeds, but where I go shopping there was no pumpkin seeds, so I did not get any. But before we make this dinner, the kitchen was kind of a mess, so I did want to hurry and clean it up, clean up the countertops and wipe them down. I love to clean in a clean kitchen, and so I definitely need to clean up a little bit, and then we could start chopping up all the produce and get to cooking.
Something new if I spend it with you, with you, with you. Oh, I want you right now, and I need you right now, you right now. My world is spinning round, round, around. Oh, I want you now.
So I am starting off with my kale, but of course I wanted to rinse it and wash it before I started chopping it. And then once I started chopping it, I used the whole bundle. Normally you don't use the whole bundle for this recipe, but I did not have any other dinners that I wanted to make with the kale, and I did not want it to go bad, so I did just use the rest of the kale, and it still turned out really good. But next time I think I'm going to get another butternut squash, so I have two, because there was just not enough butternut squash for this recipe. I thought I got a big enough one, but I did not. So I do suggest, if you make this, get two butternut squashes and then do less kale but the same amount of apples, so like 2 apples and then more onion. I used a shallot and an onion that also came out of my garden, and I wanted to use it before it went bad, so I did also use that, but it was a really small shallot, so I did add one of the onions. I did not chop it on camera, but one of the onions that was super small that also came out of my garden, just to add even more. And then I am leaving all the scraps because I am going to put them in a bag and freeze them, so over like the colder seasons I can make my own homemade vegetable broth. I've never done that before, but I'm really excited to try it out. So I have lots of bags in my freezer right now that are just filled with like veggie scraps, so I can just save them for a nice good vegetable broth.
Spin it round, round, round. Oh, I want you now, now, now. The world is spinning round, round, round. And I want you now, and I want you now, and I want you now.
This is as good a day as any to start the rebuilding of life. The roads that lay open are many when the old one's gone under the knife. And I can feel the sun on my skin, beginning to thaw from within. Today and not tomorrow.
Now that everything is chopped up and ready to start cooking, I am going to throw the garlic and the onions in the pot with some oil so it can start sauteing before I put in the butternut squash and the rest of the produce.
This morning has so clear a light as any to see the horizon in the far. Excuses were 2 for a penny, but they've all gone out the window of this car. And when I feel the wind on my face, oh, that it.
Now that the onions and garlic is sauteed and ready for more produce in the pot, I am going to throw in the butternut squash as well as the apples, and then once again just let those sit and soften up before I put in like the kale, because the kale will cook too quickly. So I do just want to let those sit, and those took about like another 10 minutes to cook and soften, or they might have taken like 10 to 15, I'm not really sure, but they did take a while. If you have a cover, for sure put the cover on, because that will make them go quicker, but I did not have a cover to put on them right yet, so I just let them be, but it did take a while.
Well, something's gotta give today. It's a good day to live.
And And then I put some yummy herbs and seasonings in here. So I put some salt and pepper and then Italian seasoning. And then once it still was softening up, I put some maple syrup. It does call for maple syrup in the food, so I did drizzle some maple syrup so it could start cooking with everything else, and it also helps it soften up even faster. Now I am going to add in the kale because the kale was ready to be added to our food. So I did add in the kale and then start cooking it with everything else.
Today is a good day. Today and not tomorrow. There's no time to borrow. Today, well, something's gotta give. Today is a good day today.
I loved this dinner so much. It was such a pretty dinner and just so perfect for autumn with the butternut squash and the apples, the maple syrup, and the eggs that I'm about to add in with the kale. It just was such a perfect dinner and just so delicious.
And see the sun. Side by side, our fears are done.
So with the eggs, I do want to throw that into the oven to cook up the eggs with the rest of the food, and I left them in there for about 5 to 6 minutes so that the eggs could cook, and it just was so yummy. I will for sure be making this one again.
Call us crazy, but things are finally right.
So now that the eggs are cooked and everything's out of the oven, and I'm now going to top it all with feta. I love feta so much. It's so good. It would also be good with some like Parmesan, and then I added more Italian seasoning and then more maple syrup to like the top of all the food once I plated it. And that is it for these dinners. They all turned out so delicious, and I will be recreating all of them and be eating them more often because they were just such yummy, easy dinners to cook, and they really did not take a long time. They were just fast, easy, delicious, all the above. And my son loved them as well, which is always a plus. So he is a very picky eater, but he ate some things, and that just made me so happy. But thank you so much for being here and watching today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. And again, all the links will be down in the description if you are interested in remaking some of these. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And you can also follow my Instagram, Our Little Bloom. And I will see you all again next time. Bye, friends.
You and I, we got it.